You little pesky rascal, you, hiding in this fear. I know your game. I know your game. I played it myself. If you realize this in this moment, that your fear, if you have fear and you're not being chased by a tiger, a lion, a bear, no one's trying to rob you, fight you, or pointing a gun to your head, then you are fearing your own non existence. That's the only other fear you can have. Some people say, no, I don't fear death. I just fear blah, 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 blah. No, you fear death. Not death in the way that you think death is, because obviously, if you don't fear death, then you must have the wrong idea of what death may be. Because what we really do fear is our non existence. So, for example, I'm going to use an example from a couple of comments that I've had. I hope you don't mind me using these examples, guys. I won't name who you are. One comment was, I don't fear death. I just fear how I'll die. What that person is doing is letting this fear of non existence bypass the intellect to impose that it's not the death that I fear, it's just the way that I'll die. And what this does is that it perpetuates the fear, because what's happening is that the separate identity is living in the energy of that fear. So it's very easy think about how intelligent this is for the separate self to create this type of thing. And obviously it's not really the separate self as an entity that does this. It's just the intelligence of our own mind mixing up with a couple of other things mixed with pure consciousness. Anyway, let's not go into those details. But how intelligent is it as the ego to say, no, I don't fear death. In other words, I don't fear my own death. I'm fine. I'm perfectly free. Don't worry about me. I just fear how I'll die. It's the perfect disguise. It's the perfect disguise. Why? Because why would we try to uproot the fear if the seemingly the greatest thing, the greatest fear of all, that most people fear, I don't fear it. It's the perfect disguise, you see? And then it blends itself with, oh, I'll just fear how I'll die. So what I'll do now is make sure I'm perfectly safe, because I'm scared about how I'll die. So because I'm not scared about dying, I'm just scared about how I'll die. Now I'll just be super, super scared about dying, because I'm scared that I'll be obliterated by a bear or an avalanche or whatever it might be. You see, and then that's the perfect garden for the ego to thrive. You see, it's perfect. It's so smart. I love it. It's so intelligent. You see, it's funny. It's all so funny. So just watch out for that. Another example, a woman left a comment on that, which said, she basically kind of agreed. I responded to her comment. She agreed, and she said, my fear was that I wasn't scared of dying, but I was scared that when I die, my kids won't have money, I'll leave them unsettled, and all these types of things. And again, the ego says, I'm not scared of death. I'm just scared of my something not having something. Well, tell me, what in your experience would it mean if something you really wanted to have happen, that you were very identified with, not having happened? In other words, it's the same as saying, I'm scared I won't have success. Something we really want, that we are heavily identified with, that our happiness is predicated upon, not happening. It's the same as any other story. You see? Again, the fear of death and non existence. It's, I am scared that I will not have something that I want, which basically means I am scared the ego will not be there. I am scared that the identity that I hold will someday not be there, which is the ego that wants to survive, because it's consciousness mixed up with, entangled with a load of thoughts, and it believes that its identity is fundamentally the things that it experiences, namely those collection of thoughts. And if those collection of thoughts, if even the idea that they might possibly disappear one day, and they might not happen, from happening to not happening, or from hoping happen to definitely not happening, then the ego will fear it, because it's the experience of its non-existence, and it creates itself with the fear. The fear isn't really in the future. The fear's not when you're dying. The fear is now. And that is where it lives. It lives now. The separate identity is now. It's not in the future when the avalanche comes or whatever it is that you're scared of dying from, or when the kids aren't the kids don't have enough money after you've passed away as a body mind. It's not happening. It's happening now, you see? That's the point. And that fear that you're having now is the experience of non-existence. It's the closest we can get to death ever, because it's the real death. It's not really the real death. It's the illusory covering, veiling, eclipsing of our true infinite aliveness. This aliveness, the feeling we get when we feel alive. Oh, this juice for life. This is this aliveness. It's life itself. It's infinite. It cannot die. And when that is temporarily veiled or covered, we call it fear. It's the experience of that which fundamentally exists, believing that it doesn't. Because to believe that we are a temporary, limited, finite self is to give greater reality to something else other than our own. And to give is to give something with lesser reality, namely the body and the mind, which are temporary, limited, and finite, fundamentally do not exist. And believing that our existence is dependent on that. In other words, it's like, this is why they call it the small self. It's like the inferior self, really, because it's saying, this mere fleeting appearance of awareness, I am limited inside this body and mind. And this body and mind, it's only here for about 80 to 100 years if I'm a healthy person. Oh gosh, this is what the ego is. It's like that. But it's false. It's not really there. You're this loving being. That you are the love that you have for your kids. You are the love that you have for everything. You are that love. There's nothing ever that's loved. You're just loving. It's like throwing a stone into space, and it's like loving. It never hits anything. You don't love something. You just love. You see, that's what you are. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. I have a free community. If you want to join it, I share meditations every single week, helping guide people through this process. Feel free to join. Take care. Bye.